What if our darkest moments are meant to teach us how to love ourselves a little bit better? What if those times where we feel like we're literally in the dark, instead of thinking that the dark has this negative connotation, that these are opportunities to see ourselves as planting seeds in order to grow? For we always plant seeds in the dark, and yet we never malign the seed or the darkness that the seed grows in. My name is Sylvia Mordini, and I'm happy to bring you the Inspire series. Why is it that when things are going in a challenging way, when it's difficult, that instead of fighting the difficulty, we don't just pause and appreciate and love the challenge, love the difficulty? There will always be chapters or pages written in our life stories that are more challenging than others. This is just the way of life. But it's our resistance and our intention to fight those moments and to get out of them as fast as we can that makes it all harder. I always think of like when we find ourselves in quicksand, instead of flailing our arms and legs, which will cause us to sink even more quickly, if we just relax for a moment and say, what is it that's here right now that wants to be loved? When our shadow side is revealing itself right in our face, it's saying, love this part of me. Love me. This part. It's easy to love all the parts of ourselves that are deemed successful by others and by society at large. But what about those parts of ourselves that get bruised and that feel vulnerable and triggered? Can we love those parts of ourselves as well? I think we can. And so take a tall seat and just turn into your breath. If you wish, close your eyes. And then just start to imagine you're sitting here comfortably, and it's a quiet place. There are no other sounds, nothing that stands out. As you take 3 deep breaths, just to immerse yourself in this moment. Now fully invested in this moment, imagine that you can start to hear the very faint sound of a crying baby. And so you just continue to stay still and seated. But then the crying gets louder and louder and louder, as babies do. And you do your best to ignore the crying baby. You're happy where you're at. You're content where you are. It's an inconvenience. It'll take time away from this moment of rest. But the crying gets louder until your humanity refuses to let the crying baby go any longer. And so you get up, and I want you to imagine seeing yourself go to this bedroom in your home, your apartment, wherever you live, and you open the door and you see a crib, and there's the baby crying, and you walk over to the crib and you know what to do. And just see yourself do that for this crying baby. What do you do when you reach the crib? You pick up the crying baby. And then, as you're holding the crying baby, what do you say to this crying child? Really listen to your heart. What do you say? Is it something along the lines of, it's going to be okay, you're okay, you're okay, everything's okay? That crying baby represents that part of you that's feeling vulnerable, exposed, and triggered, or that part of you that you feel shame around, whether it's your anger or it's frustration, impatience, feeling like an outsider, imposter syndrome, feeling like a fraud, whatever that is the crying baby. And as you are holding the baby, saying, you're okay, it's going to be okay, that's you speaking to you. It's going to be okay. You're going to be okay. You are literally speaking to that sweet spot within you that's feeling triggered or in pain. And then what happens? The baby stops crying. And that's what we're asked to do. As we dive deeper into self-inquiry and self-discovery, rather than ignoring, pushing away, or denying those shadow parts of ourselves, we are asked to bring the light, like you brought yourself to the baby, to those parts of us that are malnourished and need extra love, attention. And then from that, everything changes. We take back our power. We are no longer ashamed, embarrassed, hiding, feeling bad about being angry or impatient or whatever the experience is for you. And instead, in that empowerment, we feel more present, more compassionate, and instead of self-abandonment, we heal backwards in time. All those moments where we've ignored our pain and our suffering, like we ignored the crying baby. And we also start to create an opportunity where we learn a new response. We learn not to ignore or flee or fight, but we face what we're feeling and the triggers and our own pain. For our pain is disguised in so many ways, and it simply wants to be held, and it wants to be spoken to sweetly and lovingly. You're okay. You're okay. It's all going to be okay. And once you can do that to yourself, you no longer have a need to feel completed by someone or something else. You don't have to mask the pain or numb it with alcohol, with drugs, with any forms of addictions. And instead, you know that you can love yourself in those places that need it most, because that's what's happening when we're triggered. And so we then feel complete. We don't need anything else to numb us out or to help us pretend that we're not feeling bad. Of course we'll have pain. Of course there will be suffering. That's part of life. But how long we stay in a state of suffering, that's up to you. The sooner you go to the room, pick up the baby, face what you're feeling and say it's okay, you're going to be okay, that's when the healing begins. And then everything follows from there. We start to feel an alignment with our feelings, alignment with ourselves, alignment between what our heart and our mind are experiencing, so that there's a sense of balance and equanimity, and we're not pulled off center so dramatically or so frequently. We face what we're feeling. We understand that those hard feelings, rather than thinking that, oh, I'm having a dark moment, that's a bad thing. This dark moment is just like going into the dark bedroom to pick up the baby. It's okay. You're bringing the light to the darkness. And then you disempower the darkness. There's nothing wrong with the dark. The night sky is that backdrop for the stars to shine out. So, what we think about the dark, the shadow, our pain, when we embrace it and we bring light to it, there's so many beautiful discoveries to be made. And then our growth happens exponentially faster and more gently from that point forward. There's none of this like fighting our growth points and like that scratching and rubbing against it. We just embrace them. We hold them like we were holding the baby. And if you impact your life in this way, not only will it develop a new response within you, but it'll strengthen your empathy and compassion muscles. To see someone else and make the observation that you see them in pain, you can offer forward what you've just heard here that you've tried for yourself and help them shortcut their pain. And this way, we're not just so many of us walking around as open wounds. There's more of us that are walking around in a state of healing or healed. And from that, the world will change. So bringing your hands to your heart, inhale through your nose, exhale out your mouth. Once more, inhale through your nose, exhale out your mouth. May this practice of understanding how to respond to our pain in the dark, challenging moments inspire you to do something different when you're triggered. Let me know how this has worked for you in comments below. I'm so grateful for you to be here and to just receive this transmission. And if you're inspired, please subscribe. Thank you so much. From my heart to your heart, to the heart of the universe, may you love yourself, love your day, and love your life.